All right, everyone, it's been confirmed now that John Kasich will not be attempting to primary challenge Trump for the 2020 Republican nomination. It's like, it's politically suicidal to bother at this point. Like, I know that, what's his name there? Bill Weld, who promised never to become a Republican again. He's like, wow, I hate the Republican Party now. I'm joining the Libertarians. I've had a change of heart. Pretends to be a Libertarian. Now he's running for the Republican nomination. He'll probably get 2 or 3% of the vote, maybe 5 in his own state or something. Not sure what state he's from. Somebody can cue me into that. But no, Trump will be the Republican nominee unless there's a health issue or unless he's removed from office, which is not likely. It's now getting more likely over time as the Democrats whip themselves into a self-deprecating frenzy. It's more likely that they'll try to impeach him, but it's not clear that that'll happen. I hope they do. Then Trump will have a higher chance of re-election. I hope the Democrats do realize you're not going to be able to remove him from office. The Senate won't go along with that, correct? You do realize that it's basically a symbolic floor show and just part of your 2020 platform, Orange Man Bad, right? That's basically what it boils down to. But Kasich would have been he would have been more viable than a Weld. Like, because he had been on the national stage, because he seemed more personable, and that's not entirely the case if you look into his record, specifically with regards to crime bills. But as far as his persona, he was sort of above the fray at times, and he was sort of the guys, let's get along candidate, which didn't work for him, so he came in fourth and only won one state. But at the same time, he is a fairly well-known politician. He wouldn't have been able to beat Trump, but it would have been a more conspicuous challenge than having Bill Weld or somebody like that, or some of the perennial Republican candidates. This, by the way, hands one of the keys to the White House almost certainly to Trump, which is the absence of a strong in-party primary challenge. That's one of the keys to the White House. On the Democratic side, of course, they don't get that advantage. They don't get that key specifically because they're the out party. They have like 20 fucking people running. Yeah, there are multiple viable contenders. As far as Trump being re-elected, though, there will be no strong in-party challenge. There will be no strong third-party challenger. The Libertarian Party is likely, because there is still a never-Trump element, and there will be a never-whatever the Democratic candidate element is, there will be, I think, a stronger third-party showing than normal, but I don't think it'll be as high as 2016. The Libertarian Party will still get millions of votes. It is still now a technically viable national movement for really the first time since, other than 2016. The Libertarian Party is going to harangue on a message of, well, Trump, X, Y, and Z, we don't believe in that, but the Democrats' alternative is also shitty, so you should just come to us. That will be technically viable, probably get double-digit support in a few states. Mostly it'll hover around maybe 5%, though, which is pretty high historically. That's still a lot of people. Libertarianism is gaining ground, despite what the black pillars will have you believe. Yes, as an ideology, since the Ron Paul era, it has consistently gotten stronger. Hell, it's partially usurped the Republican Party, too. You've got a few paleocons, like Rand Paul, at least, in the party. But Kasich won't be present. Now, he is a never-Trumper. He said, well, mercifully, Donald Trump is a bad person. I don't agree with this. We need to have mercy for those less fortunate than ourselves. He sounds like a fucking Democrat, actually, when he talks about immigration. He's sort of like a Ted Cruz, like when Cruz and Rubio or some of these people were handing out like teddy bears and shit to refugees and stuff. And it was a cock show, basically. It was just for votes. They were trying to out-dem the Dems, which is like, why bother? It's ridiculous. It's not going to work. You're not going to get any brownie points from people for handing out, toys to tots, along the Mexican border. They're just going to see it as patronizing. And it is. I mean, they're not wrong. Let's face it, it's political theater. It's just the Democrats have already cornered that market. What you need to do is outmaneuver them and make it so that their market cornering is then a liability, which is what Trump's trying to do. But then you have idiots like Kasich trying to gunk that up, the never-Trumpers that don't understand political strategy. If they did, they would have stopped Trump. They made 3 or 4 major mistakes throughout the primaries in 2016. They failed. Fuck him. Trump is your president. Now you own him. You can back him, and he's doing a decent job on some metrics, on the economy and jobs. On foreign policy, we've got to step backwards right now because of Kim Jong-un supposedly executing the people that were negotiating during the Hanoi summit. But maybe that's a signal that they'll try again. Trump hasn't taken the bait. He said openly the other day he doesn't give a fuck about the short-range missile tests. And by the way, technically not a violation of the treaty they were building with us anyway, so yeah, I'll side with Trump on that one. If it's to promote lasting peace and to give time for the ROK and DPRK to tighten their relationship up, yeah, fucking let him fire off some short-range missiles. Don't take the bait. And don't listen to Bolton and Pompeo and all their bluster. That's just basically good cop, bad cop, a la Kissinger. Having Kasich out of the mix, though, is great for Trump, because the fewer major never-Trump voices that are present and that are going to cause potential problems, they'll give interviews and say weird shit, the better. Kasich will still be on the sidelines being a never-Trumper, but you're likely to see him stand back a bit. Like, ultimately, one thing he doesn't want. He would not want to be saddled, and this is for any never-Trumper. This is why Mitt Romney has sort of taken off his usual waffling, back-off approach. They don't want to be seen as the Republican that fucked 2020 if Trump loses. If it looks like there's a chance, I mean, some of these people are demoralized. They're assuming that he loses. I don't think that way. I think that they're going into 2020 and they're feeling a little bit nervous. I would assure them, if you look at historical paradigms and you look at polling, Trump has a good shot at it, especially since his opponent is likely to be a turd. But it's just my opinion. But that doesn't happen if people don't stand behind him. And if that happens, if there's a fracturing, people like Kasich, Romney, Flake, they're going to be the ones that are blamed, not Trump. He'll be able to viably say, hey, I was snookered. Yeah, my own party wouldn't solidify behind me. I was doing a good job, and then people started obstructing me. You fucking own it. Bye. And then he'll still, at the end of the day, he'll still be a billionaire, and he'll still be Donald Trump and very well known and have been a president, and these people will be seen as a bunch of losers and has-beens. And they'll never work a fucking again within politics. They will be punished by the Trump element of the Republican Party. If Trump loses, the subsequent midterms will be a bloodbath for the Republican Party. I can tell you that much. So yeah, if you want to keep your jobs, you should at least tamp down the never-Trump rhetoric. Be like John Kasich and don't bother challenging him in a suicidal floor show that's destined to backfire. That's about all. Peace out.